All right, so our final speaker for today, or who was going to be our final speaker, is Mark Meckler, who is still en route. So he will still be the final speaker today, but I'm going to cover a little bit until he gets here. So, you know, I'm a political junkie. I have always been a political junkie since I was a little kid. My parents allowed me to stay up past midnight for the first time in my life when I was 8, and that was to watch the election returns in 1976. So you can figure out how old I am. I can't stay away from the political blogs. I love politics. I love the policy arguments. But I think that makes me weird. I think that makes me odd. And I think most people, hopefully most of you, enjoy sort of more normal things that you would appreciate doing. When we asked for a show of hands the first year we had our Tea Party for how many people were attending their first ever political rally that day, there was a substantial majority of the audience. And many of those then rookies are now veterans of a lot of this, and that's been one of the great things about the Tea Party movement, is getting people involved in politics. And I'm sure we've got some newbies here today as well, and we expect them to also become involved in this. You know, there was a time in our country, and it wasn't really very long ago, when people could get away and live their lives largely unaffected by what was going on in Washington and Sacramento and City Hall. I mean, you got to pay your taxes, but that was about it. And the taxes weren't that bad, and we could live with it. Those days, for now, are only fond memories. And what I see and what others see is a deeply unfortunate, maybe even evil pattern. More and more of our lives have become the subject of politics. The most mundane and ordinary aspects of our lives are the subject of political arguments today. Your choice of light bulbs is determined by policymakers and lobbyists, not by the people, you know, who make light bulbs. Your food costs more than it should because some policymaker, at the behest of some liberal interest group, decided everyone needed to put ethanol in their cars. And then they subsidized it because, as it turned out, no one really wanted ethanol in their cars. Large areas of the country, in particular me, I now live in Austin, Texas, and we're facing rolling blackouts as federal regulations kick in, essentially outlawing coal-fired power plants. And of course, building any new power plant to replace it of any kind, you're going to run into impenetrable regulatory and legal obstacles. All these things, the policymakers don't care how it affects you, because as far as they're concerned, it's all for your own good. And that's the crux of the problem. There is this class of people who think that they know better than you do how to order your lives and how to spend your money. These people have names like Obama, Geithner, Chu, Solis, Napolitano. But those are just the names we recognize. There are hundreds of thousands more such busybodies who populate the federal, state, and local regulatory agencies and the myriad left-wing pressure groups, all of whom think they're better than you. They think they know more than you, despite the fact that economists have actually won Nobel Prizes explaining why that isn't so. But these self-appointed elites persist. They think that they're smarter, more fair, more moral than you, because they want to take your money and give it to somebody else. In short, they think they're superior, and that attitude makes them want to be the busybodies they are and tell you what to eat, and where to live, and what to drive, what insurance you must purchase, and what guns you must not purchase. This goes on ad infinitum. The trouble is, they've managed to insert themselves into so many areas of our lives that we have no choice but to deal with them. It's not a fight we want, but it's the fight we have. The busybodies have a 75-year head start, marked from 1935 when FDR threatened to pack the Supreme Court and forced a sea change in our Commerce Clause jurisprudence. That allowed government to grow far beyond anything our founders ever imagined. So, FDR almost packed the court and got the court to change the rules, and so government could do almost everything it wanted. The busybodies finally may have actually gone too far. And I think they're facing a monumental loss in the Supreme Court over Obamacare, which faces a strong challenge on the Commerce Clause. I think finally we may have a definition for the upper limit of what government can do to us. I think one excellent side effect of the overreach of this administration, and this was mentioned earlier today as well, is a renewed interest in and knowledge of the Constitution. The more people who know what that document actually says, the better off our republic will be. However, we are fighting a rearguard action, trying to hold on to our remaining liberty in the face of a determined effort to take it away. The Tea Party represents the biggest, clearest, and strongest effort to protect our liberties from those who would take it away because they say it's for our own good. Well, we reject that idea, and we're pushing back. We have to push back harder, and we face a long and protracted effort. I'm sorry this is necessary, I really am. I think our republic would be much healthier without all of the politics that I personally enjoy. The perpetual campaign is a deeply malign innovation, but it's the reality that we face. The only way we can overcome the pervasive influence of government is to make government less pervasive in the first place. Aaron touched on this. Ronald Reagan said in his first inaugural address, "In the current crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem." God, I wish I could say it as well as him. He was right then, and he'd be even more right today. But despite his best efforts, and frankly, because of both parties, government has continued its explosive growth. No more. We're done. It's time to cut the budget, start shutting down entire cabinet departments, privatize many government functions, and actually impose some limits on our supposedly limited government. Only then can we all get back to the normal lives and quit worrying about this stuff. Until then, however, you will do what Americans have always done when presented with a problem that needed fixing. You and I and all of us here today will work to fix what's broken, and we won't take no for an answer. So what can you do? What's the takeaway? Attending rallies once a year is a start. The most important thing you can do, and I know you can't wait for the chance, is to vote in November. I don't have to tell you how to vote. You know what to do. But even that's just a start. There's so much more you can do. I take inspiration from the late, great Andrew Breitbart. We lost a great patriot with him. Breitbart identified the greatest challenge facing those of us who still believe in economic liberty and traditional American political values of limited government, of enumerated powers. So much of our media culture, both news and virtually every form of entertainment, is shot through with the leftist and elitist progressive ideology. For too long, media and Hollywood got away with being almost entirely one-sided and deeply biased. In his merry warrior style, he took it all on, and he was making great progress, shining light on the bias, the hypocrisy, the lies. He's gone, but we remain. With all of the tools of the new media, the internet available to us, the blogs, Facebook, Twitter, all these things, we have the power to keep our eye on what's going on and to work to counter that leftist bias. Post updates to your Facebook statuses. Tweet news stories and editorials you like. Comment on blogs, especially on the liberal blogs. Liberals don't know what we think. All they have is the caricature given to them by the New York Times and MSNBC. There was a report just a couple of days ago of a study that conservatives and libertarians understand liberal political positions far better than liberals understand conservative ones, and that's because they never hear it. And when they do hear it, it's a caricature, and it's meant to misrepresent and ridicule us. So, it's up to us. We have to present and explain our ideals and our fiscal responsibility and limited government to our families, to our friends, and to even our political opponents. So that's what I want to ask you all to do. Start moving the discussion back our way. Take the fight to them. Become an army of Breitbarts.